Right, yes, hello, and welcome back to Free Vinyl Discovery. Welcome back to Tom as well, of William Schmilliam's fame. Good to have you back just before we reach the halfway point in the series. So I'm really pleased to have you again for the third and hopefully not the last time. Today, we are looking at The Cure, Standing on a Beach, which was a compilation album released to mark their 10th anniversary. So, Tom, it's catalogued on your channel, your awareness of The Cure, but if you would like to, please go ahead and tell me what you know and your experience with them.
First off, thanks for having me back on. It's always a pleasure. The Cure are an interesting one for me because I would consider them definitely one of my favorite bands of the 80s. But this compilation, as you mentioned, was released in 1986, and my two favorite Cure albums came out after that point. Yeah. So it's kind of an interesting one to look at. I was familiar with about half of these songs from their studio albums, but there was some I've never heard. Two Imaginary Boys, which is their debut album. And there's a couple others I'm missing in the middle there, but there's also a lot of non-album singles on here that I hadn't actually heard. So, yeah, I know you're less familiar with The Cure than I am, but you know sort of the hits, right?
Yes. And there are quite a few hits on this. There are a few very, very 80s songs that The Cure pumped out in the early part of their career, and they all feature quite prominently on this. Let's talk for a bit about the physical album that I have managed to get in the pile. It's actually in okay condition compared to some. There is a rip on this side, but apart from that, everything else is great. And of course, I've talked quite a bit on the channel about how much I love gatefold albums. And this
that's lovely.
It is very nice, and that features all of the albums, I believe, that it shows off. Oh, no, the singles. The singles.
Yeah. I was going to say I don't recognize any of those, so it must be the single
covers. Well, that's awesome. I mean, it's the first time I'd properly looked at it. You can tell I really do my research here on Free Vinyl Discovery. I just knew it was gatefold, and that impressed me enough. The record itself does play absolutely perfectly, so I was able to enjoy it for all it was worth. But what is interesting is that this vinyl copy of this does not feature as many songs as the Spotify.
And I think the CD as well is what the Spotify one is based off.
Your thoughts on these songs then?
Like I mentioned, it's not my absolute favorite era of The Cure, right? And I think the split from side A to side B, because side B is sort of when they start to get into the more pop era. Side B is more my era of The Cure, I think. It's starting to get nearer where I want to be. That said, side two does have open with 4 non-album singles. Let's Go to Bed, which is great. I've known that one forever.
Yeah, that's a good one.
The Walk, which is whatever. Love Cats is really good, obviously. And The Caterpillar which was actually, of the ones I discovered this time around, was my favorite. And then it closes on the 2 hits from Head on the Door, In Between Days, and Close to Me, which are fantastic. I mean, they're just classic songs, I think. But Close to Me, actually, this version has a horn section on it, which is not present on the album version. So it's kind of a unique version to this album, which is quite cool. And then as for side A, it's a bit more of their gothy sort of post-punky sort of atmospheric stuff. And aside from the big songs, Boys Don't Cry, A Forest, and Hanging Garden, the rest of the songs do kind of bleed together a bit. With the exception of the opening track, Killing an Arab, which is terrible.
Yes!
it's
I'm glad you said it.
Yeah, it's so bad. And the fact that it opens this album, which is filled with some great songs afterwards, is a bizarre choice to me. It must have been something to do with it being chronological, but why do you even want it on a compilation? I guess maybe it was well known, but
Robert Smith's vocal
is it just also the subject of the song and the recording quality is just not
it's
good.
awful.
But for me, if I had to pick my favorite songs, I would say Boys Don't Cry, obviously, A Forest, The Hanging Garden, In Between Days, and Close to Me, I think.
Right, cool.
My favorites.
So I'm going to let you in on my opinion of The Cure, in that the big hits that you mentioned at the end of the B-side, they're actually my least favorite, and I've never liked those songs.
That is insane. That is insane to me.
I know.
I cannot believe that.
I've heard them a lot over the years, and particularly the one
that's Close to Me. Yeah,
it grates me.
Oh no, that's Love Cats. Sorry, that's Love Cats.
That grates me. That really does, yeah. Love Cats is bad. Close to Me isn't as bad as Love Cats. I'm still not a massive fan of it. It just, I don't know.
In Between Days? You don't like In Between Days?
Okay, it's all right. Yeah, I mean, when I'm in the right mood, but it wouldn't be a song I'd hunt out. And it's nice lyricism. I like what the song's about, but otherwise, I actually quite liked the A-side more, with the exception of Killing an Arab. With the exception of Killing an Arab being very notable, it opened up with that. And like the vocal came in, and I was just like, "What the hell are they doing? Why does it sound like this? Why does it sound like they put the microphone in one room and then made Robert Smith stand in a different building? And like, why is it so bad quality? It sounds really unprofessional. But of course, it's the early part of their era. But like you said, no one made them include it here. Why is it here? Otherwise, though, I wouldn't say that the songs lead into one. I quite enjoyed Jumping Someone Else's Train. And I also really liked Primary. And I looked up why. It's because it's just bass. There's no guitar on it. It's two basses and the drum. And I am bass boy. And I really enjoy that one.
I'm really surprised that you like the more dreary stuff over the more poppy stuff. That's interesting.
I kind of liked Robert Smith's angst. It hit hard for me. And Charlotte Sometimes is also pretty good. I like that as well.
That was the other one that I had never heard that I really enjoyed.
That
and the Caterpillar were the ones I was like, oh, I don't know this. This is good.
And then the B-side, it opens with Let's Go to Bed, which I do really like. And yeah, the rest of it, the ones that you don't know, there's a reason why you don't. And then the ones that you do, I am going out on a limb saying that they're really not my favorite. Biggest culprit is the Love Cats, which I really can't stand.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
I would have put money on us lining up there on enjoying the poppy stuff more. But
interesting. I'm maturing in my discovery here. I'm growing.
Yeah, but like I said, I think this was even their best pop stuff isn't on the head. As much as I do like the Head on the Door, I think that was the beginning of their pop era. And you're yet to have Just Like Heaven. You're yet to have Love Song and Lullaby. You're yet to have Friday I'm in Love. Yeah. Their best pop songs are still to come.
Yeah, I agree. It's so different from what I know from Disintegration. That it feels like a different band, really. They were doing something very different after this.
Yeah, so it's kind of an interesting discography in the sense that there's a certain point where they got bored of being so dreary. And the songs on Disintegration, like Pictures of You, is an incredibly dreary song, but it's a lot more melodic and pretty than something like A Forest or Primary or Killing an Arab.
Less said about Killing an Arab, the better. Yeah. But I am really pleased to own it. I'm really glad that it's found me, if you like. It's a nice little gateway into the early era of The Cure, and hearing the non-album singles coming together like that, because it turns out, doing a bit of research into The Cure, a lot of their early singles were non-album singles.
Yeah, Boys Don't Cry wasn't on Three Imaginary Boys, so...
Yeah. They tend to just release one single per album, and that's about as much as they did.
That song is a classic, Boys Don't Cry. I used to be a bit of a denier of it, but I've come around.
Fair enough. Right. What do you think of The Cure? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you next week for the Halfway Point special.